We decided early on that we wanted something small but meaningful, not extravagant, just real. We had a budget of about $12,000, all from our own savings. Still, I reached out to my parents and Ethan, hoping they'd want to be involved, maybe help with a few parts of the day like Leah's family offered. I wasn't expecting a $40,000 gala. I wasn't even expecting a catered rehearsal dinner. But I hoped they'd care. What I got instead was months of being treated like a nuisance. When I asked Mom if she'd be willing to help with the flowers or maybe contribute a bit to the food, she replied, "Jake, you know we're still paying off Ethan's wedding. You're doing fine on your own." When I told her we were covering it ourselves and just wanted her input on a few small details, she said, "Well, if you're not doing it properly, I don't want my name attached to it." My dad barely returned my texts, and when he did, it was always one-liners like, "Not sure we'll make it, depends on work," or "Ask your brother, he's good at this stuff." They missed the bridal shower. They didn't offer to host anything. They didn't even ask where the venue was until the week before. I tried to brush it off. I told Leah over and over, "It's fine. They're just not great with this stuff." But deep down, I was crushed. I couldn't shake this heavy, awful feeling in my chest, like I was reliving every ignored birthday and shrugged off achievement from my childhood in slow motion. Leah could see it too. She gently squeezed my hand every time someone asked why my family wasn't more involved. The day of the wedding came, and we poured our hearts into it. It was held at a cozy little outdoor garden venue, with fairy lights strung through the trees and music played by one of my old college friends on his acoustic guitar. Leah looked like she belonged in a painting. My friends showed up. Her family showed up. Even coworkers and neighbors came. But as the ceremony ended and we moved into the reception, I realized my parents hadn't even gotten us a gift. No card, no envelope, nothing. And worse, Mom looked bored. Half the time, she was scrolling on her phone. Dad kept sneaking out to smoke and made a point of telling my uncle how rushed the wedding felt. At one point, I heard him laugh and say, "It's not like Jake wanted a real wedding anyway." Then came the moment that finally snapped the last thread inside me. During dinner, while Leah was talking to her grandma, I sat at our table with Mom and Dad across from me. I tried to smile and say, "Thanks for being here. It means a lot." Mom didn't even look up from her salad. She just said, "You should be grateful we even showed up. Your brother's wedding took everything out of us." Then Dad chuckled and added, "He's always needed us more than we needed him. You've always been the independent one, right?" I don't know if they expected me to laugh. Maybe they thought I'd just nod and move on, the way I always had. And I did nod once. But in that moment, something went cold inside me. It wasn't anger, not exactly. It was more like a wall going up. A quiet understanding that whatever thread of obligation or love I had been clinging to was frayed beyond repair. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just looked at them, really looked at them, and thought, "You think I owe you something. But the only thing I owe you now is nothing." I spent the rest of the night being gracious. I danced with Leah, thanked guests, made speeches, took pictures, and didn't let them see a single crack. But the next morning, I was already making calls. You see, for years now, I've been handling more than they ever realized. When their old car broke down, I helped Dad finance a used one. Technically, the loan was in my name. When Mom lost her part-time job, I covered their Wi-Fi and phone bills just until she got back on her feet. I even added them as authorized users on my Costco card so they could shop for groceries cheaper. They were living in a rental I owned, half below market value, and I let them believe it was some kind of family discount. Truth is, I was tired of seeing them struggle. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I'd never once gotten a thank you. Not when I bailed them out of credit card debt. Not when I covered a month of missed rent without telling them. Not even when I bought Ethan a new laptop for grad school because Mom said you have more money than us. It had always been expected. Just another way I was supposed to make up for being the quiet one, the one who didn't get into trouble, the one who didn't ask for much. And now, here I was, married to the love of my life, and my own parents treated it like a boring chore. A checkbox to tick off. Something they'd rather not be part of, but felt obligated to attend just so they could claim they did. So I made the first call to the bank, then the landlord for their place, then the utility providers. I wasn't mean. I wasn't vindictive. I just undid what I had done. Slowly, carefully, thoroughly. And right as things began to unravel for them, they had no idea I was the one pulling the thread. The first domino to fall was the house. Technically, it was a small two-bedroom rental on the edge of town, but they'd called it home ever since I bought it 5 years ago. Back then, they were drowning in overdue rent after Dad got laid off and Mom's hours got cut. Ethan, of course, was too busy helping his then-fiancée plan their lavish engagement trip to Italy. So I stepped in, bought the property under my name, and let them stay in it for less than half of what I could have charged. I even handled minor repairs myself instead of calling in contractors, just to save them the embarrassment. I called the property manager I'd been using to handle my other rentals and asked her to prepare a formal notice. The lease wouldn't be renewed. I gave them 60 days, generous by any standard, and made sure it was all perfectly legal. Then I told her to start prepping the place for market value rent as soon as they were out. She hesitated at first. She knew it was my parents, but I simply said, business is business, and moved on. Next was the car. Dad's sedan was financed under my name because his credit was a mess. I'd made the monthly payments for nearly 2 years. When I bought my new SUV last summer, I'd quietly transferred full insurance coverage for his car onto my own policy to keep costs down for him. He never knew. So I called the bank, checked the payoff amount, and sold it back through a dealership trade-in. Since it was under my name, I didn't even need their approval. The only call I made was to the insurance company to remove the car from the policy. When Dad came outside a few days later and saw the empty driveway, he thought it was stolen. I know because he called me. "Jake," he said, voice tight, "I think someone took the car. It's gone." I was at work, staring at my monitor, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. "Oh," I said calmly, "no. I traded it in. The title was under my name, remember?" There was a long silence. Then a confused, sputtering, "Wait, what do you mean you traded it in? That was my car." "No, Dad. You used the car. It was always mine. I just let you drive it. You can't be serious. I need that for work." "You haven't worked in 7 months," I replied flatly. "Remember? You told Uncle Rob you were semi-retired now." He started yelling, but I told him I was in a meeting and hung up. I didn't block his number. I didn't scream back. I just ended the call like a closing door. Then came the utilities. Mom's phone plan, under my account. I'd set it up when her old phone died, and she panicked at the price of a replacement. So I bundled her into my family plan, paid the bills silently, and never asked for a dime. Same with their internet, streaming services, even their Costco card. All of it billed to me. One by one, I canceled every auto payment. On a chilly Wednesday morning, I got a barrage of missed calls and voicemails. First was Mom, her voice sharp and accusing. "Jake, the internet's down. What's going on? Your father's furious. He can't even check his email." Then another one. "Jake, our phones aren't working. Did the company mess up again? Fix this, please." Then a text. "Why is the water off? Are you seeing these? Call me back. Is this some kind of joke?" I didn't respond. Instead, I sat on the couch with Leah, who knew everything by now. I'd told her the night of the wedding what I planned to do, not in a vengeful rage, but with quiet, clear certainty. She didn't try to stop me. She just nodded and said, "About time." Still, even with her support, I didn't feel triumphant. Not yet. There was an ache inside me. Not guilt exactly, but something deeper. A hollow sort of mourning. I wasn't punishing strangers. I was closing the door on my own parents. The people who raised me. The people I had once desperately wanted approval from. But every time I considered backing down, I remembered Mom's voice at the reception. "You should be grateful we even showed up." That sentence lived in my head rent-free. I had paid for my own wedding. Every flower, every chair, every damn napkin. And she made it sound like their attendance was a charitable act. And then Dad's smirk. "He's always needed us more than we needed him." That line didn't sting. It infuriated me. I'd been carrying them for years. Quietly. Without fanfare. And they still believed they were doing me a favor by existing in my life. No more. A week after everything went down, Ethan texted me. "Dude, what did you do? Mom's losing her mind. She says you're being spiteful and ungrateful. Are you okay?" I stared at the screen for a while. I wasn't even angry at him. Just tired. I replied, "I'm fine. Just reallocating my resources." Ethan texted, "Jake, come on. This isn't you." That part actually made me laugh. Because it was me. It just wasn't the version they were used to, the polite, invisible younger brother who never said no, never stood up for himself, never asked to be seen. So I typed one more reply. "Maybe this is me. You just never noticed." I didn't get a response. Leah's family, by the way, had been nothing but warm and supportive through all of this. Her mom called us weekly just to say hi. Her dad sent me articles he thought I'd like. They treated me like a son, not because I paid their bills, but because I loved their daughter and showed up when it mattered. That contrast made everything sting sharper, but also gave me clarity. Love isn't measured in what people say at big events. It's measured in who helps you clean up afterward, who asks how you're doing on a random Tuesday, who notices when something's wrong, and who shows up when it counts. My parents showed up to my wedding physically, but emotionally, they never arrived. And now, as their world began to shrink, bill by bill, convenience by convenience, I didn't feel vengeful. I felt free. And yet, I knew the storm was coming. The storm hit 3 days later. It started with a letter, certified mail. I'd already given the property manager permission to send it. It was simple, formal, and airtight. This is a 60-day notice to vacate the premises at 118 Maplewood Drive. Your lease will not be renewed. We wish you well. I didn't even have to be there for the fallout. But of course, they made sure I'd hear it. First came the voicemail from Mom, half furious, half frantic. Jake, what is this letter? Why would you even think about evicting us? Is this some kind of mistake? Call me. Right now? This isn't funny. Then another one, her voice wobbling now. Your father's pacing around like he's going to have a stroke. You don't mean this. You can't mean this. We've lived here for 5 years. That was followed by a message from Dad, who went from anger to manipulation in record time. I'm disappointed, Jake. After everything we've done for you. You wouldn't even have your job if it weren't for my advice back in college. You need to grow up. This is family. That one made me pause. For a moment, my hand hovered over my phone. There was still a small, flickering part of me that longed for things to be different. That maybe if I just explained everything, laid it all out, they'd suddenly see me clearly for the first time. But I knew better. They didn't want to understand. They just wanted to regain control. I didn't respond. Instead, I waited until the weekend. Then I drove to the house, not to talk, not to argue, but to collect the spare keys I had stashed in the storage box out back. I knew they weren't home. They had lunch with some family friends every Saturday at noon like clockwork. I walked through the old place silently, noting the scuff marks in the hallway, the pile of unopened mail, the same cheap curtains Mom insisted still looked fine. There was no warmth here. Not anymore. Just a house they'd lived in long enough to mistake for something they earned. I left a small envelope on the kitchen table. Inside, I'd printed out a detailed list. All the payments I'd made. The monthly utilities, rent discounts, loan balances, grocery deliveries. Every silent favor. Every unacknowledged lifeline. The total at the bottom? $62,500. At the end, I'd written in simple black ink, "This is what never needing you looked like." Then I locked the front door, slid the key back into my pocket, and drove home. That evening, Ethan showed up at my place. No warning, no text, just knocked on the door like we were still brothers who dropped by for football games and drinks. Leah answered it before I could get to the door. "Hey," Ethan said, awkward and sheepish. "Is Jake here?" I came around the corner and crossed my arms. "Didn't expect to see you." "I figured," he said, forcing a laugh. "Look, I'm not here to fight. But Mom's a mess. Dad's threatening to call a lawyer. They're saying you blindsided them." "I didn't blindside them," I replied calmly. "They just refused to look." He exhaled and rubbed the back of his neck. "They said you're trying to ruin them." "I'm not ruining anyone," I said. "I'm just done sponsoring them." Ethan looked around, like he was seeing my home for the first time. The quiet comfort of it. The framed photo of Leah and me from our honeymoon. The new furniture I'd saved up for. The life I built. "They were going to leave everything to you, you know," he said. "In their will. The house, the savings." I couldn't help it. I laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. "Ethan, they don't own the house." "I do." "And the savings?" "I am the savings." He looked taken aback. I stepped closer, voice low and steady. "You've spent your whole life believing you were the center of the family. And they let you believe that because it was easier than facing the truth, that I've been the one holding everything together. Quietly. Without applause. Without expectation. But I'm done now." He looked like he wanted to argue. But then he just nodded, jaw tight, and turned to leave. Before he stepped out, I added, "Tell them the 60-day clock is ticking. After that, I'll be putting the house on the market." He froze, back still turned to me. "You really don't care anymore, do you?" I shrugged. "I care. I just don't enable." The door closed behind him with a soft click. Leah slipped her hand into mine, and for the first time in a long time, I felt light. Not because I had hurt them, but because I had finally chosen myself. But the drama wasn't over. Not yet. Because 2 days later, I received an envelope from a law firm, certified and stamped. Inside was a letter. My parents were trying to sue me for improper eviction, emotional distress, and financial exploitation. And I just smiled. I read the letter 3 times, slowly, carefully, sipping my coffee as the sun crept through the blinds. It was laughable, really. The kind of amateur legal scare tactic you'd expect from someone who binge-watched courtroom dramas and thought they understood real estate law. The letter accused me of abuse of authority, manipulative financial control, and my personal favorite, weaponizing familial obligations. That last one almost made me spit out my drink. Leah came into the kitchen and saw the envelope in my hand. Is that from your parents? Technically, from their lawyer, I said. Well, someone pretending to be one. Should we be worried? I shook my head.